Stacking! Revisit the age of the Industrial Revolution on an adventure of fun, friendship, child labor, class oppression, and possessing bystanders by literally going inside of them. Join Charlie Blackmore as he saves his family from captivity. Because, remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's not the size that matters, it's what you do with it. Or something like that.
Wait, what? Matryoshka dolls, or simply Russian nesting dolls, are sets of wooden toys that gradually decrease in size in order to stack into each other. The name Matryoshka meaning little matron or little nurse. You see these adorable little things just about anywhere, and I absolutely love them. I love all wooden dolls for that matter, like Kokeshi dolls. They have a sense of charm about them while also being sturdy and able to display about anywhere. But I'm getting so off track that I haven't even landed on the track in the first place. Today we're talking about Stacking, a puzzle adventure game developed by Double Fine, the American development company founded by Tim Schafer, who's well known for Full Throttle, Grim Fandango, pissing off Kickstarter backers, Day the Tentacle, pissing off early access customers, as well as his magnum opus, creating a different crowdfunding site entirely to avoid pissing off Kickstarter backers. I mean, I don't hold any personal grudges, I haven't even played any of these games. Stacking's concept was created by Lee Petty, art director of Brutal Legend, who wanted to create an adventure game that reinvented the traditional point-and-click interface of the genre. After seeing his daughter play with Matryoshka dolls, he decided they would be effective for the game as they would act as not only the playable characters, but also the verbs and inventory items. Schafer was delighted by this idea, as upon reflection they realised that they would not only make the appearance of a common toy give casual players a quick understanding of the game's stacking mechanics, but the simple geometry of the models would make animating and recreating the dolls quick and simple. It was released in February 2011 for the Xbox 360 and PS3 to quite positive reception, only to get PC and Linux ports the following year, and tells the story of a world populated entirely by Matryoshka dolls during the Industrial Age, an age that most notably started in Great Britain in the 1700s and changed the game in terms of economical and social development, leading to upsides such as new innovations in manufacturing, while also leading to downsides such as underage workers and poor working conditions for the lower class. Yeah, it's the part you fell asleep in during GCSE history, but I digress. How's the actual game? Well, get your coal shovel and readjust your flat cap as we switch on the projector. It's always bloody cheesy and cringeworthy when I say the name of this show. This game tells the tale of the Blackmore Stack, a family with 5 children: Albert, Agatha, Abigail, Archibald, and Charlie. You can tell he's the runt, I feel his pain as the youngest.
Not many photos of you.
After his father gets promoted to a new job only to never return and his siblings get kidnapped by our antagonist the Baron, Charlie travels to the Royal train station to investigate and rescue his family. He of course does this by stacking into dolls larger than him in order to take control of them and use their abilities to solve puzzles. It reminds me of that time when I was 8 years old and my mother and I got separated, so I proceeded to Sant Viento my way inside a grown man's body. What, you guys never did that? Stacking's cutscenes are presented in the form of an old silent film or theatre performance, a style that I love the look of. It has elements such as grainy film effects, showing text after a character is visibly spoken, and most importantly using background music in context to actions and mood changes. The same use of music being the reason why I love watching old cartoons, and consider Tom and Jerry as one of my favourite TV shows of all time, even if Stacking's use of music isn't as noticeable or as emphasised. As Stacking is a puzzle adventure game, it mainly focuses on exploration and finding solutions to obstacles. As Charlie ventures to different areas to save his family, he's required to perform different tasks to get the attention of a group of dolls that will help him reach an area and finish the level. The 4 levels in the game being the Royal train station, which acts as the hub world, the steamship, the zeppelin, and the triple-deckered steam train. With the game's visuals and environmental design, Double Fine have made such a pleasant game to explore. From the background audio to the amount of dolls wandering around, every location is busy and bustling with some cute attention to detail that makes the world appear handmade and toy-like, just like the dolls themselves. From marbles being used as lighting, to oversized children's toys lining the rooms, to the sea being made out of cardboard. The dolls that you stack into, despite being halves of wood with still faces, are also very expressive, making silly noises to convey speech and moving around melodramatically when walking or performing actions. The world's also very consistent in that nearly every being is a doll, from rats to seagulls to my personal favourite character, Thad's bear, Mr. Ruffles. This is my bear, Mr. Ruffles. Mr. Ruffles only likes me. Please don't look him in the eye. He doesn't like that. That's my spirit animal. You can tell the game went for a very silly and comedic approach, especially as a large amount of the dolls in the game don't do much for puzzle solving and are there to just mess around. Okay, I lied. That man right there, he's my spirit animal. The puzzle solving in this game is kind of similar to other adventure games in that puzzles are mostly in a lock and key format, but the difference here is that as opposed to collecting inventory items, Charlie instead stacks into other dolls with their own different abilities. He's incapable of performing any actions on his own, and as such stacking into other characters is always relevant to the puzzle at hand. The main ethos behind stacking's design was to develop an adventure game that appeals to both fans of the genre and casual players, and while I feel it certainly delivers from a casual standpoint, it's kind of held to the sidelines in terms of making an experience seasoned players would enjoy. The game takes on a semi-collectathon aspect in that finishing the story is only scratching the surface, and you'll have loads of collectibles to chase after. The levels contain small side quests such as finding all the dolls in a certain stack across the map, finding every unique doll in a map that isn't a generic civilian, and a checklist called Hijinks where you mess around with more recreational dolls. No, wait, not that one. I didn't mean that one. But a lot of this devolves into just being busy work that for me isn't too entertaining to play and just makes me feel like garbage for finishing the level with loads of pointless drivel left over. As for the main path of the game, you get a small amount of puzzles that involve a character with some significance to your goal, such as a group of adventurers that you want to have stage a mutiny, or a group of politicians that get kidnapped on the way to an embassy to end child labour. Another trick up Double Fine's sleeve in appealing to both audiences at once is by giving these puzzles multiple solutions, under the concept that casual players will have an easier time finding at least one solution, and seasoned players will spend time trying to find all of them. I quite like this idea on paper as it does add a tiny bit of challenge and longevity to the whole thing. On the other hand, the puzzles are still easy. Because of the game's nature of lock and key puzzles without an inventory for your keys, any dolls relevant to the puzzle are most likely bumming around that area anyway, making it excruciatingly obvious what you need to do for at least two of the solutions. It's kind of like if you were playing King's Quest V and you need to brutally murder Cedric the Owl because his voice is just that insufferable, but he's passing you the gun anyway, but Graham forgot his trousers. Note to self, stop with the analogies. There's also not that much incentive to play through the game unless you want to solve more puzzles. I mean, the environments are nice to look at and the animations are silly, but the story is fairly standard and the characters don't really have any, well, character to them. Especially weird considering this game comes from a company that's well known for its humorous and well-crafted writing. The game is also quite short, taking me about 2 hours to finish the main story, and as such get 50% of the collectibles. And I'm unsure if this is good for the game so it doesn't overstay its welcome, or emphasize that it could have been expanded upon so much. To conclude, stacking is an overall pleasant experience to try out, especially if you consider yourself a casual player of the genre or even games in general, but something about it comes off as quite hollow in a way. I'd certainly recommend giving it a look-see as it's quite charming visually, at least during a sale. It's a nice little snack on the platter of video games where you won't feel full or satisfied anyway, but at least you're eating something rather than hogging the poppadoms, you son of a bitch! Second note to self, not great with food analogies either.